The sound was sickeningly loud in the silent, expansive living room, the sharp crack of a hand striking flesh, followed immediately by a dull, heavy thud. Elena crumbled. She didn't just fall, she was discarded, thrown back by the force of Marcus's blow. Her head struck the corner of the marble fireplace with a terrifying solidity. For a moment, the world tilted on its axis. A sharp, hot line of pain seared through her skull, and when she reached up to touch her temple, her fingers came back wet and red. She lay on the cold floor, her vision swimming, looking up at the man she had called her husband. Marcus stood over her, breathing hard, not with regret but with the annoyance of a man whose evening had been inconvenienced. He adjusted his silk cuffs, smoothing out the wrinkles in the jacket she had paid for. "You push me to this, Elena," he spat, his voice devoid of empathy. "You always push me." He stepped over her legs as if she were a piece of fallen luggage. He didn't check the wound. He didn't call for help. He simply grabbed his car keys from the table. Through the large bay window, Elena could see the sleek silhouette of a woman waiting in the passenger seat of the convertible, his latest mistress, impatient and checking her reflection in the visor mirror. Marcus opened the front door, the evening air rushing in. "Don't wait up," he called out, mocking the domesticity he had just shattered. The door slammed. The engine roared to life, and tires screeched against the pavement. Elena was left alone in the sprawling, empty house, the silence rushing back in to fill the space where the violence had been, the blood slowly staining the pristine white rug beneath her cheek. It all started with the fact that the girl was very rich. Elena was the sole heiress to a shipping fortune, a woman of gentle heart and soft edges who had grown up lonely in a world of transactional relationships. She wanted to be loved not for her portfolio, but for herself. Marcus was a man who understood the architecture of desire, though he felt none of it himself. He was handsome, charming, and utterly hollow. He saw Elena not as a person, but as a vault to be cracked. He didn't love her. He loved the way the light caught the diamonds she wore. He loved the black card with the unlimited limit. He loved the freedom her money promised him. He played the part of the devoted suitor perfectly. He brought her wildflowers instead of roses to seem humble. He listened to her dreams with intense, feigned interest. He swept her off her feet, and within 6 months, they were married in a ceremony that cost more than most people earned in a lifetime. The ink on the marriage license was barely dry when the mask slipped. The cheating began immediately after the wedding. It wasn't even a slow fade of affection. It was an abrupt switch. Marcus felt he had won the game. He no longer needed to pretend. He stopped coming home for dinner. He started taking business trips to tropical locations where his business seemed to consist entirely of lounging on yachts with women who were not his wife. Elena paid for it all. In the beginning, she was blind with love, making excuses for him. He is stressed. He is adjusting. He is trying to build a career. She paid his credit card bills without looking at the itemized receipts for jewelry she never received and dinners she never ate. She bought him the suits he wore to seduce other women. She funded the lifestyle that he used to betray her. The first time she caught him was 6 months in. It wasn't subtle. She found a second phone in his jacket pocket filled with messages that left nothing to the imagination. When she confronted him, trembling with the shock of the betrayal, she expected an apology. She expected shame. Instead, she got rage. "You were snooping," he roared, turning the accusation back on her. "You don't trust me, after everything I do." That was the first time he hit her. It was a slap, sharp and shocking, meant to silence her. It worked. Elena retreated, confused and terrified, convinced somehow that she had caused this anger. The pattern was set. The abuse became the currency of their marriage. Every time she questioned his spending, every time she asked where he had been, she paid for it with bruises she learned to hide under long sleeves and makeup. But the breaking point, or what should have been the breaking point, came a year later. Elena was going through the bank statements, a task she usually avoided, when she saw the transaction. $80,000. A wire transfer to a luxury dealership. She walked into the garage, her heart pounding, hoping to see a surprise gift for their anniversary. Instead, she found Marcus on the phone, laughing. "Yeah, she loves it. Red, just like you wanted, babe. Pick you up in an hour." He wasn't talking to her. The realization hit her like a physical blow. He was buying a car for his mistress with her money. The disrespect was so total, so absolute, that it pierced through her fear. She waited for him to hang up. "I want a divorce," she said, her voice shaking but clear. "I'm cutting you off, Marcus. Get out." For a moment, Marcus looked at her with pure menace. But then he looked at the house, the cars, the life he was about to lose. He saw the ATM closing its doors. The transformation was instant. He didn't hit her this time. He fell to his knees. He wept. He grabbed her hands, burying his face in her palms, soaking them with tears. It was a performance worthy of an Oscar. "Elena, please. I'm sick. I don't know what's wrong with me. I need help. I'm a broken man, but I love you. Don't throw me away. I'll change. I swear on my mother's grave, I'll change. Give me one chance. Just one chance to be the husband you deserve." Elena, desperate to believe in the man she thought she married, looked at him weeping on the floor. Her heart, cursed with too much empathy, softened. She wanted to believe that the monster was the anomaly and this weeping boy was the truth. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." She forgave him. It was the worst mistake of her life. Recovering from the near miss, Marcus secured his position. A few months later, Elena gave birth to a baby girl, Lily. She hoped the child would anchor him, would bring out the fatherly instinct, would finally change him. It did not. For 7 years, Marcus lived like a king on Elena's inheritance. He bought the car for the mistress anyway, hiding the paper trail better this time. He continued to disappear for days. He continued to come home smelling of other women's perfume and stale alcohol. And he continued to beat her. The violence became a grim routine. If dinner was cold, if the baby cried too loud, if she refused to sign a check, the blow would come. Elena learned to walk on eggshells, to make herself small, to absorb the pain so that Lily wouldn't see it. She stayed for the child, telling herself a broken home was worse than this. Marcus grew arrogant. He believed she was broken, that she would never leave, that he owned her completely. He stopped even trying to hide the affairs. He would bring women to their summer house. He would laugh in her face when she cried. "You're nothing without me," he would sneer. "Who would want you? You're old, you're tired, and you're pathetic." He didn't notice the change in her eyes. He didn't see that the fear was slowly calcifying into something harder, something cold and sharp. He didn't know that for the last 2 years, Elena hadn't been crying in her room, she had been planning. The end didn't come with a shout. It came with a signature. On a Tuesday, Marcus left for a golf trip to Cabo with a flight attendant he had met the week before. He took Elena's platinum card and gave her a perfunctory kiss on the cheek, confident that she would be there waiting when he returned. When he landed in Cabo and tried to check into the presidential suite, the card was declined. He frowned, annoyed, and tried another. Declined. He tried the debit card. Declined. He called the bank, furious, ready to scream at some poor representative. "I'm sorry, sir," the voice on the line said, "but you are no longer an authorized user on these accounts. The primary account holder has removed your access." "That's impossible," Marcus shouted, drawing stairs in the lobby. "She's my wife. The accounts were in her name, sir." "You have been removed." He called Elena. It went straight to voicemail. He called home. The line was dead. Panic, cold and sharp, finally pierced his arrogance. He managed to scrape together enough cash from his wallet for a flight back, flying economy, sandwiched between 2 tourists, stewing in rage. "She will pay for this," he thought. "When I get home, I will make her regret she was ever born." He took a taxi to the mansion. He marched up the steps, ready to kick the door down. But his key didn't fit. The locks had been changed. He banged on the door. "Elena, open this door right now." The door didn't open. Instead, the heavy iron gate at the end of the driveway buzzed, and a security guard he didn't recognize stepped out. "Mr. Marcus," the guard said, "you are trespassing. I have instructions to call the police if you are not off the property in 5 minutes." "Trespassing? This is my house." "Not anymore." The end didn't come with a shout. It came with a signature. On a Tuesday, Marcus left for a golf trip to Cabo with a flight attendant he had met the week before. He took Elena's platinum card and gave her a perfunctory kiss on the cheek, confident that she would be there waiting when he returned. When he landed in Cabo and tried to check into the presidential suite, the card was declined. He frowned, annoyed, and tried another. Declined. He tried the debit card. Declined. He called the bank, furious, ready to scream at some poor representative. "I'm sorry, sir," the voice on the line said, "but you are no longer an authorized user on these accounts. The primary account holder has removed your access." "That's impossible," Marcus shouted, drawing stairs in the lobby. "She's my wife. The accounts were in her name, sir." "You have been removed." He called Elena. It went straight to voicemail. He called home. The line was dead. Panic, cold and sharp, finally pierced his arrogance. He managed to scrape together enough cash from his wallet for a flight back, flying economy, sandwiched between 2 tourists, stewing in rage. "She will pay for this," he thought. "When I get home, I will make her regret she was ever born." He took a taxi to the mansion. He marched up the steps, ready to kick the door down. But his key didn't fit. The locks had been changed. He banged on the door. "Elena, open this door right now." The door didn't open. Instead, the heavy iron gate at the end of the driveway buzzed, and a security guard he didn't recognize stepped out. "Mr. Marcus," the guard said, "you are trespassing. I have instructions to call the police if you are not off the property in 5 minutes." "Trespassing? This is my house." "Not anymore." A window on the second floor opened. Marcus looked up, expecting to see Elena cowering. Instead, she stood there, holding Lily's hand. She looked calm. She looked strong. She looked at him not with fear, but with an indifference that chilled him to the bone. Next to her stood a suitcase, his suitcase. She pushed it out the window. It tumbled through the air, bursting open on the driveway, scattering his silk shirts and Italian shoes into the mud. "You're done, Marcus," she called down. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried perfectly. "The divorce papers are in the mail. My lawyers have evidence of the adultery, the embezzlement, and the abuse. You get nothing. You have nothing." She closed the window and drew the curtains. Marcus screamed. He threatened. But when the police siren wailed in the distance, he ran. He went to his mistress, the one he had been buying gifts for. He banged on her door, frantic. "Baby, you have to let me in. The bitch locked me out. I need a place to crash just for a few days until I get my money." She looked at him, disheveled, sweating, panic in his eyes, and then she asked the only question that mattered to her. "So, you don't have the money?" "It's just frozen. I'll get it back." "Call me when you do," she said, and slammed the door in his face. It happened again and again. The network of friends he thought he had were really just parasites attached to Elena's wallet. As soon as the cash flow stopped, they vanished like smoke. The divorce was brutal. Elena had documented everything. The medical reports from the falls, the photos of the bruises, the bank statements. The judge, seeing the evidence of domestic battery and financial fraud, showed no mercy. The prenuptial agreement, which Marcus had arrogantly signed thinking he would never be the one dumped, was ironclad. He got nothing. No alimony, no house, no custody of Lily. He tried to find work, but he had no skills. He had spent the last decade being a professional spender. He was too proud to take a lowly job and too infamous to get a high one. He drank what little money he had left. He slept in cheap motels until he couldn't afford those, then in his car, until that was repossessed. 5 years passed. The city was bustling, the winter wind biting through the thickest coats. On a busy street corner, huddled near the vent of a bakery to catch the warm air, sat a man. He was unrecognizable. His hair was matted and gray, his skin weathered by the sun and the frost. He wore a coat that was 3 sizes too big and stained with grime. He held a paper cup with trembling hands, muttering to passers-by who pretended he didn't exist. "Please," he rasped, "just $1. I'm hungry." People walked by, their eyes fixed on their phones or the traffic lights. He was invisible to them, a piece of urban debris. Then, he heard laughter. It was a bright, melodic sound, free and unburdened. He looked up, his eyes watery and dim. Walking toward him was a woman in a beautiful wool coat, looking radiant and healthy. The shadows that had once haunted her eyes were gone, replaced by a serene strength. Holding her hand was a girl of 12, vibrant and happy, carrying a shopping bag and skipping slightly. It was Elena and Lily. Marcus froze. His heart hammered against his ribs. He wanted to call out, to scream, "It's me. Look at me. I'm your husband. I'm your father." But the words died in his throat. Shame, hot and suffocating, clamped his mouth shut. He saw the way Elena laughed at something Lily said, a look of pure, unadulterated joy that he had never once given her. They drew closer. Elena's gaze swept over the sidewalk. She saw the homeless man huddled by the wall. She didn't recognize the ruin of the man who had once tormented her. She saw only a human being in need. She stopped. "Wait, Lily," she said softly. Elena opened her purse. She pulled out a $20 bill. She didn't throw it. She crouched down, maintaining a respectful distance, and placed it gently in the man's cup. "Stay warm," she said kindly. Lily smiled at him, a smile that was painfully familiar, having his own eyes, and added a chocolate bar she had just bought. "For you," the girl said. Marcus looked at the money, then up into the face of the woman he had broken and the daughter he had ignored. He saw no recognition in their eyes. He was a stranger to them. He was nothing. "Thank you," he croaked, his voice breaking. "God bless you." Elena smiled, stood up, and took Lily's hand. "Come on, sweetie, we're going to be late for the movie." They walked away, their boots clicking rhythmically on the pavement, moving toward a warm, bright future. Marcus watched them go. He watched until they were just specks in the crowd, until the laughter faded into the noise of the city. He looked down at the $20 bill in his dirty cup, money from the woman he had called pathetic, given to him out of pity because he was the pathetic one now. He didn't move to buy food. He just sat there on the cold concrete, curled around his empty chest, and for the first time in years, he cried. He cried not for the money lost, but for the realization that he was the architect of his own hell, and he was finally, utterly, alone.